Hey Wheat Ridge Baseball, Dr. Weimer here from Highland Sport and Spine. This is going to be your resource for your mobility and warm-up. Pre-practice, pre-game, you can also use this any other time that you want. We're going to do things a little bit different than probably what you've done in the past. We're going to have less static stretching, more active and dynamic movement to get your body ready for the game or whatever activity you're doing. So first thing we're doing for baseballs, we want to get the shoulder loosened up a little bit. We call this a controlled articular rotation. So I want you to start with the thumb facing forward. You're going to be bringing your arm straight up overhead. I want you to be mindful of keeping your rib cage down. The tendency for a lot of athletes when they get overhead is extending like so. Try to keep the core engaged. Bring the arm up overhead until you hit an end range here. And then we're going to flip the hand the other way and rotate all the way back behind until we come back forward, and your thumb should start facing forward again. You're going to do 5 of these rotations, slow and controlled, in each direction. So you're going to start going forward, back to the start, and then we're going to switch and we're going to go backwards, coming all the way back to the front. You're going to do 5 on each arm to get things warmed up. You can do your dominant arm first, then we'll proceed to the next exercise. All right guys, on to the second exercise of your mobility warm-up. You're going to be getting flat on your back. I want you breathing into the low belly, keeping the back nice and flat. Breath in, belly's going to rise. Breath out, keep the belly out. Legs are going to raise up, arms are going to raise up. From here, we're just going to be working a little bit of overhead mobility. So we're going to go one or both arms at the same time. Arms coming back overhead. Get a good breath here, and then back up. We're going to do 10 reps like this. I want slow and controlled, not fast. Good. After you get your 10 reps in, we'll move on to the next exercise. The third exercise in your mobility sequence is going to be in an elbow and forearm supported position. Bottom thigh and knee are in contact with the ground. I want you pushing the elbow into the ground, creating a nice straight spine. And then from here, we'll get the belly right, breathing into the low belly. As you exhale, keep the belly expanded. Then we're going to drive that bottom knee into the ground and raise up. From here, what we're going to add in is a little bit of a rotation and then back forward. Should feel this in the hip, maybe the core, maybe a little bit in the shoulder as well. And then we're going to drop back down. You're going to do 3 to 5 reps in that top position, and then once you're back down on the ground, kind of your rest set is going to be turning and rotating, creating some rotation through the spine. Really focus on driving that elbow into the ground so the shoulder stays in a nice stable position. After you do one side, we're going to switch to the other. Same sequence. Pressing the arm into the ground, driving the bottom knee into the ground. 3 to 5 rotations here. Back down. 5 rotations around the shoulder, creating a little bit of mobility through that mid-back and the hips. All right, on to the next one, guys. All right, guys, we're on to the 4th exercise here in your mobility or movement prep. We're going to get into a hands and knees position. Toes are curled under, hands are right underneath the hips, flat back, belly breaths, just like you've done with the other exercises. From here, we're going to start in a low hover, driving the hips back, trying to straighten the knees if you can. If you can't, just keep them bent and kind of get to your end range of motion there. Want to feel a little bit of a stretch all through the backside, hamstrings, calves, ankles, just creating a little bit of extension chain mobility. You can do about 10 reps of this one, and then we'll move on to the next exercise. All right, guys, on to our 5th exercise here. It's a little bit more of a combo exercise. So we're going to be getting into a split stance, kind of a half kneeling position. You're going to come down onto the ground with your hands here. We're going to be creating a little bit of rotation through the spine to start, and then back down. From this position now, we're going to rock back into a little bit of a hamstring stretch, and then back down into a kneeling hip flexor stretch. And we're going to go through the sequence again. Down and rotate. You don't have to spend a ton of time in each one of these positions, but try to get 1 to 2 breaths in each position. You're gonna do 5 on each side. So we're gonna switch to the other side, same sequence. Hands down, rotating, popping back to a little hamstring stretch, back down to a hip flexor. 5 reps on each side, and then you can move on to the next one. Okay guys, on to the next step. We're gonna be doing an inchworm or kind of a walkout plank here. So now we're gonna get up onto our feet. Try to get your hands down onto the ground. If you have to bend the knees, go ahead. What we're gonna try to do is just walk out into a plank and then walk the feet back up towards the hands. We're gonna do a set of 10 of those. So you'll be kind of walking forwards as you do this. Pay attention to the belly breathing like we've talked about before, keeping that back nice and flat. This is a little bit of a core warm up here and also a bit of a posterior hamstring type of stretch. Get 10 good reps here, then we'll move on. Next exercise here is a single leg deadlift or an airplane, whatever you want to call it. We're going to be working on a single leg stance position. Be really focused on this one, on keeping the pelvis level. I don't want you opening up a lot in this position. So you can either go hands straight down in front, hinging at the hips, and then back up, or you can go arms at the side, creating a thumb out position, a little bit of external rotation at the shoulders, which will be helpful as you get ready to throw. We're going to do 10 reps on each leg, then we'll move on to the next exercise. Alright guys, for the next exercise, you're going to get your bands out that you guys have. It's going to be attached to the fence behind you. I want you to have it a little bit elevated above your arm slot position. All the same principles with the core. Breathing in through the low belly, keeping the hips stacked. We're going to be in a half kneeling position, so one leg in front, other one behind. The leg that's behind is going to be your up arm. And we're just working a little bit of rotation here. Nice and controlled movement, trying to keep that shoulder in a strong, steady position. You're going to do 10 reps here, and then we're going to flip it around. And you're going to be pulling backwards. So we're here, and back. 10 reps in each direction, and then you're going to switch sides. Now we're going to get the legs warmed up, guys. So we're going to start with some lateral movement first. So get into a nice athletic stance, kind of a mini squat here. Then we're just going to be doing a little side shuffle. For you guys on the field, you're going to go, about a base length down, and then back, and then we'll move on. We're going to be sticking with lateral movement. So before we were just a side shuffle, down and back in between the base paths. The next one we're going to add in a little karaoke. So from here, we're going to be crossing one hip over the other. So a little step and across, step and across. You're going to do both directions. Really try to get that hip high, creating a little rotation in the pelvis. Feel like you're opening things up a little bit. I'd rather you stay slow and controlled as opposed to just being fast to get through this movement. All right, guys, after we've done the lateral hopping, the karaoke, now we're going to add in a little bit of a back pedal. So your first time down, it's just going to be a low back pedal, creating a little backwards movement. And then after that, on your next round back, we're going to do 1 to 2 steps back, followed by a hip open, and then back to a back pedal. Open, and then back. So from straight on, what that looks like, back pedal, open up one leg, cross over, let's twist back, open, cross over. So we'll get 1 time straight back pedal, down and back then for the hip crossover. Okay, after we finish up the back pedal rotation, we're going to now start doing some forward movements, getting you guys ready for the game. So our first thing we're going to do is a power skip. I want you really trying to generate some power here, trying to not only propel yourself up, but a little bit forward. So from here, we're going to be jumping off one leg, trying to land in a nice soft manner. I don't want to hear a lot of thuds or cleats on the ground. So you're going to alternate sides, power skip. You're going to get 10 of those on each leg. All right, we're going to get a couple sets here, down and back, just working what I call a little bit of a build-up. So you're going to start maybe first 10 yards of your sprint, 50%, progress up to 70, 75, get up to 80 on that first round. Then the next time back from second to first base, you're gonna go 70, 80% as you start, bumping that up to 80, 90, close to 100. Then we'll do 3 rounds of this one. On your last one, we're gonna try to get at least half of that will be a full out sprint, and then you guys are gonna get into your regular throwing routine.